Okay, thank you once again, Professor Bhagwani, that for giving the opportunity to have a talk for the young students who are the future, what I can say. So here the title what I have selected after your suggestion, that adversarial artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. So may I say I don't work actually in artificial intelligence. I apply artificial machine learning and deep learning. But you will give the essence. I will give the essence how it is useful or not. So let me start that from the point that human intelligence, how it evolved, right? Like this fighting between the two people, a group of people, two country or two entity. It's a long back story, right? People fight, either you go 1,000 years back or 2 days back or one day you will see somewhere is fighting, human being are fighting, right? But how they fight, how this fighting involved, right? And why they fight. See, this is all because adaptability and human intelligence, right? And there is a two, see, always there is a, you can say good people and bad people. Now the bad people definition is may vary. Good people definition may vary. Like I can give example, the spam email. The email which is spam to me, it may not be spam for you. So these are relative. So good, bad, that is relative in what perception you see. So anyway, there is a good people, bad people, right? And that's the intelligence, and both intelligence grow. Both knowledge, because human being is the most intelligent species in this planet, right? And their intelligence growing. That's why we are talking about today artificial intelligence. So when you fight, if you go back, you see the enemy. Even enemy come too close to you, kill you. You know the what's the weapon they have, how to tackle that weapon, how to do that. So that was that two groups are there, and this only comes because one have a lust of power. One group they want more power, they are more arrogant. So this fights goes. But what happened if this fights is going on? Like you see the First World War 4 years, Second World 6 years. You don't have such war. What that people do or group do, they have developed a lot of deterrence so that other, like I can say enemy, if I say other, yeah, it is like enemy, fear that he have or this country have so much nuclear power, this if he hit then I will die, this all the stories are there. So they are developing deterrence. They are not coming to fight like this, like what happened the first and second war. I don't think like that anyway it will come now. So they are heavily, these stockpiles of nuclear weapons they are deploying. A lot of countries have there. They are only deterrence. And if they attack with that, planet will, in one day it will finish. But it is not going to happen. So, but people are intelligent. Enemy is also intelligent. So what they thought, don't direct go in the war. Have some other way. Now what happened? Now these attacks are anonymous. Right? You see the Pulwama attack, that parliament attack, the 26/11, it is anonymous. They are not taking that I have did. But this is enemy intelligence. They are saying how to attack, how to destroy the enemy, right? But now that you have to, the good people like here, I can say India as a good people, they are developing smart intelligence and all that to defend this. So you see last 4 or 5 years, these kind of things are not happening. So this competition goes on. But when these enemy are also intelligent, they are also intelligent. So what they do, now anonymity, now next time, if what you see, that enemy will be invisible. Forget if anonymous, and the importance of this is that it can be done from anywhere. You can individually do that, and you can destroy a lot. Like if you see that cybercrime and all these things, it's growing. I will go in details, not very much technical, that what we are doing. But this invisible, tackling the invisible enemy is not easy. These are coming in which way, what way, where, it's very tough to defend. Even attacks happen, then only you come to know. So how to be proactive? Like, see, suppose you can build a missile, right? Mach 5 speed, Mach 10 speed, whatever. But to defend that missile, right, appropriately, it's not easy job. Like you have to make your missile faster than that missile, more accurate than that. So who is defending? They should more intelligent, right? So the rat race are going on. One and what? So, but tackling the individual enemy is not an easy job. Like how they are attacking all these institutions, even nuclear plant. Even I will have a slide that how Telangana plant has been attacked. So these are going on. So one estimate that you can see that what's going on, that battleground has changed from time, like face-to-face attack, nuclear deterrence, the anonymous, invisible enemy. So in the financial market, that study shows that what geopolitical situation or change in the location of the financial, it does not bother much, but important is the cyber attack that make maximum loss. That it is increasing, like you can see in the graph here, that 2000 green color, it is increasing. And if you worst case scenario, the analysis shows that 50% profit goes in the cyber attack of other financial institution. At the least is 9 to 10% kind of thing. Even the once the Europeans is the Brexit means European exit group kind of thing, that will be huge financial loss. No, that was not. Actual loss is from cyber attack, right? So now this cyber attack, what are the weapon, right? How that's first I will go to how weapon choices are there, and then we'll see that how you can handle. So weapon choice, right? That invisible army, how will choose their weapon? So basically, the most important word is that malware. That malware constituted term malicious software. Even I have some argument with this software because software is a group of program and malware is a single program. But anyway, malware is stands for the malicious software. So weapon choice, right? Basically, you know, in very generic way, virus, antivirus defense mechanism. So these weapon are malware. So how this malware evolved? Like I said that what enemy involved with techniques on that. The malware also have evolution story. That first that what the very, if I remember the correctly, the first malware that Creeper was developed, it was basic for fun. That catch me if you can kind of things appear on the screen and something like that. But after that evolution was the point which I will discuss today, where it is, you will surprise. So that first that if I say there's two types of malware, I can classify first generation, second generation. The first generation is that it is static malware. It whatever malware is there, it does not change. It's static, right? So identifying that malware is easy because you take a hash of that, and if anybody know what is hash is a fingerprint of the data. That if any bit change, that hash changes. So you can take a hash or some signature or some part of this malware and you can put in a database and you can detect it. That is what signature with the first generation signature based detection. But that, as I say, enemy is also intelligent. They are also advanced. So what they do, they develop a malware. See, once the malware come to your system, then what is, yes, when malware comes to your system, it attack and encrypt it. So you can't have that pattern. So you will not able to identify. And once it's encrypted, next time when we decrypt, again the key changes. Key gets every time it encrypted and key get changes. So it is the malware which reside in the system changes. You can't detect with the signature based technique or that static based technique or traditional based technique, that what I can say, right? So but people get now say other both are intelligent. So what that defender do, they identify that algorithm of the decryptor or encryptor does not change, key is changing. So they make a signature of the encryptor and decryptor and they identify. And then they, okay, now we can have a signature kind of that thing and you can identify this is encrypted malware. So then enemies, that adversary, I can say, then say, okay, they are identified. I will again give one more. Now they are changing the decryptor or encryptor. They mutate it. The first generation for that is that oligomorphic, that where they change the decryptor encryptor. Keep in mind the action of the malware does not change. Now when algorithm change, then it is very not easy to catch that malware. Then but that time I can talk about 15 years back that was there, but how many they can produce. So that was very restricted in oligomorphic, maybe 100 to 1,000. But as involved, they develop a polymorphic. Polymorphic means they can change the algorithm in millions of algorithms. And that is not easy to find. But anyway, again, that intelligence of the defender, they come with some normalization, these, that, many schemes comes, and they are able to detect the polymorphic malware also. So enemy will not stop like that, not invisible enemy. What they have developed, that metamorphic malware, and that is very dangerous, and that is what second generation or advanced malware. What they do, they change the code itself. It's attack your system or something, and they change the code. And when you change the code, you are not able to detect. So now question, how many metamorphic malware you can generate? It seems that millions of millions you can generate. And it is not easy to identify. So now the metamorphic malware is very much dangerous. And to defend that what we were talking about, that our group is doing on that, and may I give some result, and that is what the weapon nowadays it is used, ransomware or whatever. It's the something coming your system and action is going on. And after action that it changes. You are not able to identify. But my question is there, but simple thing, if I compare, if somebody come to your house, right? This is a human being intelligence that if you know you will allow to come in. Even you allow to come in, you may have restricted authorization. He will move here or he will sit on the sofa or something like that. Why it can't be done in the system? If some file coming, why you are not restricted authentication or authorization so that damages should not be done? So where is your intelligence? Can you develop that intelligence? That even anything comes and you say, no, I will not allow to move you. I will not allow to authorize you, like in a human being do that. Even a human being just shout, go away kind of thing. But does in the system you can do? See, this is, as I say, it's a rat race. If you do, enemy will come some other method. So where it will terminate? Where it will terminate? So that is what going on. So here that recent attack, I will just list it for the student, that what are the attacks were there, like over 500,000 Hawaii phones found infected with Joker malware, McAfee threat report, that 3.1 million external attack on cloud user, 40 Telangana substation attack by Chinese malware, hacker hit computer maker SF with 50 million ransomware, and postage provide petty posts, that was their problem. M6, one of France's biggest TV channel, they hit by ransom. So it's going on, that malware that spit cash out from the ATMs. So this is there how to control. Can you do proactive or always we will reactive? That malware comes, you make a signature, then you will put in the client machine and then you will detect and then you will see this, right? So that will not help you. Like here, Google itself says that 172 malicious apps with 335 million installed find on Google. Even in 2017, I remember that 10 to power something, 70% malware was file was excluded. What he says, you can read, tens of millions of Android phones comes preloaded with dangerous malware. You don't know. It says it's a benign. Google will say it's a benign, but actually it's a malware. Our problem is that basically update. When you update, and that is very dangerous. China qualifying new app in spying 100 million Android users. So this is there some attack? It's going on every day. If you will have some statistics that how many attacks are there, I think in every few seconds it's going on. So what you can see, let's see the malware growth. See, though first is Windows is a very popular operating system. Now the second is a smart devices coming, which is taking over the Windows OS, that is Android mobile phone, or I can in general say smart devices. Now almost half of, means 7 point some billion population is there. So I think 4-5 billion mobile devices are there, right? So every 4.6 seconds, a new malware specimen is detected. Think over it and see how that malware is growing, and how you tackle that? Do you have so much signature in your database? It will not work. It will not at all work. If I say in a mobile device, I will use a software which antivirus. Will it work? It's a constant resource devices where resources is limited. Even desktop, you can't run. Your system will hang. You may experience such things that when antivirus runs in the background, how that your resources are used, you're not able to open some other files. Okay? So this is the growth of the malware. And now you have to think that how to tackle that. Even in Android, that most popular operating system for the, I think 80% or something like Android smart devices. Some 15 something number is there that is for Mac, and other is there. So here, what is that? That's what I'm saying. In 5 malicious bad apps are removed from Google Play Store in 2017, which is 70% more than the apps taken down in 2016. See, here that Google is saying after some gap of time, immediately, till then damage has done. How to stop the damages? Means you are saying after 3 months, 2 months, or 5 months, and maybe 1 day. That 1 day is enough for the attacker, that cyber attack. It can spread and it can do as much damage it can do. So here what I can say, just see that where we are doing or what we are trying, and I will keep the thing simple, and student may ask questions that what is there. This, sorry, this is what, right? I think people know that how your in the system antivirus works, your present antivirus system. Like you have given a software, you install it, and who supply you antivirus, he generally update your database. The method he apply basically mostly is a signature. He put the signature in your system of the virus, and every time it daily basis or whatever basis you can set, and it run and it checks the signature is there or not of the virus, then only it is detected. But you just read the bottom line, what's the problem? Typical time window between a malware release and detection by anti-malware software is about 54 days. That is long time. 50%, 15% of samples are still undetected even after 180 days. So 180 days and 54 days, it's not a small time, right? What you are providing? No, you are not, the way you are, the approach you have, that is not good. That you will say that I have provided you antivirus, your system is safe. Now you may experience even you have antivirus, you have a problem, right? It's not that it's a completely safe. So where is your intelligence? That how you will handle that? To stop all these things, that's what I say, to compare the day-to-day life. If you don't know the person entering your house, you will not allow. Even you know the person, you will allow him to give some authorization that you can sit here, you can't go there, this kind of thing. So why not that kind of thing should come in the system? If you are saying that we are building an artificial intelligence, this, that, many intelligence, human being is so intelligent. So why not that things should come here, right? So here we are looking after our group in the BITS planning. We are developing such things, and we have some result, but still that is not the last, and that where we have to think over more. Like the first I will start how the proactive measures started. Like very obviously machine learning, deep learning is already very popular words, and to use it for whatever intelligence you want to develop. Like earlier what I said, that antivirus is basically a signature of the virus is put in a database, and it runs and it checks it is there or not, right? Even some matches are there or not. But to have the good antivirus system, you now going to the artificial intelligence. So what you do, the process is a simple pictorial representation that you collect malware and benign executable either in Windows or either Android. We are going in the both. And then you find some patterns or features either by deep learning method like autoencoder, by physical means like you extract opcodes and certain opcodes, and you find good features so that you can have that representation of that file and feature detection. Then you do for the efficiency. So these are process, and you choose the machine learning approach. lot of machine learning, deep learning approach is there, and you get some result. And you say that, yeah, my model is 99% accurate, 98% accurate, and some number you give. Even we achieve it with 99.97% accuracy. Now, as I said, percentage and absolute number, these are two different things. Even 0.03, right? And where the millions of markers is coming, how much you are giving, right? That is huge number. So even you are approaching 99.5 or 99.7 or 99.9, it is not 100%. Certain malware will be not, you are not able to detect. And that's what the adversary is looking for. That 0.1, 0.97 kind of thing. That they will be. And where your system is not able to understand, right? That most tons of papers are there on that I have this model, I have this result. That's okay that you have something understanding, but that is not the last. Right? So here what I say that here see, adversary has what knowledge opponent have or other side. See, mostly if you know the control principle, if you know information security, that what he says that opponent or adversary or attacker know everything of your whatever you have, even you are safe. Only the security lies in the key. Even only the key, everything. Even though you are secure, that's the approach. Here also, that what is there basically machine learning model. That what's the adversary knowledge have? First of all, you have to think over it. So we categorize in three: white box, gray box, and black box. Like if it is white box, means adversary has complete knowledge of your system. Now, if adversary has a complete knowledge of your system, he will try to develop a malware which can skip your system. And obviously he will do. Like we see how metamorphic malware generated, he will generate such things. And that 0.03 or point whatever it is there, he will play on that. And he will attack you. So that where we should not stop. Even you have 99.99 whatever percent, no, that is not the last thing that you can do it. Because even adversary nowadays, taking one more step, they assume that he don't have any knowledge of the whatever system you deployed for detecting the malware. And he will develop the things that he will not get detected, but he will evade your system. Even one malware, you are not able to detect it, and suppose your system is like power grid and nuclear power plant, other things, it will destroy anything. So that is very dangerous. So you should be very cautious. Even single malware should not go there, because now all IoT or they are remotely controlled. They are software controlled, like nuclear plant of Iran. That how many you may know that how it is attacked. Basically that. And now here one point I may add. Now these things are not done by the individual. It is the government, state sponsor. Now these are state sponsored, that they are developing. Whole China government is behind, the US government. Sorry, this is not my official words, but these are the fact that how it is growing on. And to stop that, you have to prepare. Your intelligence has to develop like that to counter that attack and whatever it is there. So this, what is the present state, that what people are, you read the paper and all the things, but this is not. So how, see, here is some result. We also presented this lot of result, this model, that model, 99 point things. These are Android based, Android permission and features that we have did. We have, for Windows also we have did, but that is 99.7% accuracy kind of thing. But later we thought that is not good. Even 0.3 or 0.03%, that is also you have to look after, right? So these are that what the present people project, that I have this, I have obtained this model accuracy. No, what you have to do, you have to think like what adversary do. How you modify your model, you see how the attack is going on. You analyze that concept, and then you add in your system so that you can you can detect the malware or attack. You can see this is what reactive approach. Now we have to stop here. You don't have to reactive approach. What you have to do is that you have to model or you have to design a system where adversary, you assume adversary in your model and he will fight you with your model always. Now both intelligent, both should be fight. Like I can give an example that how that intelligence grows. Like my daughter is there. 6 years back, we are playing the Ludo, right? She always lost to me. And she cried and she says that, and many things she says, but then I say the trick. Okay, now the situation is that she is winning, I am losing. Now she is saying why she is winning. That time I was saying why I was winning. Now this knowledge grows. So when two fights, then somebody will have some extra knowledge and that extra knowledge should be used by other. Like here, you model the adversary in your system. Now adversary learning and oh no, this is the way. So I make it immediately in my model, no, this should be prevented, right? So you have to model the system by thinking that adversary, even adversary have that you are safe, like what Karka principle says, that even attacker know everything, your system is safe. Like I can say that if you know that student may know that advanced encryption standard RSA research security mechanism, where algorithm is known to everybody, right? It is not hidden. How it works, everybody knows, but still it provides security. Because the security lies on the key, not on the algorithm. So here your security should lie in something else, not on the model. And you have to think over it. So you have to find by some means that how to do that, right? So based with it, you have to put adversary in your model and make your model so robust that even they come with that, attacks should not be done, right? So that is what adversarial learning. Now it is an integral part of your things that you have to do that. You should not say that I have made a model, this time accuracy, even it is attacked. That is now I can say it's a foolish word that should not be done, right? So this what we are doing in between. I will say what people are my group is doing, that we are having that, like we set environment, you have a data, you put all the models, like in the top, the malware detection model, whatever model like we made or take from somewhere, put a model, and then we create the malware in the lab. So now you say why you're creating a malware, it's a dangerous. So this malware creation basically building the detection model so advanced that I can defend the adversary or enemy, right? So here this takes a lot of computation power, and that is it's basically cloud and computing, all the two things. And we basically a Q table, when you read that in Q table you have permission, intent, lot of features. Even in the opcode level you can do. Basically see, when you execute a program, opcodes run in the processor. That's the main thing. So you have to see how the opcodes are there, how sequentially opcodes are running. If you track that, you will find something difference between the malware and the benign program. And that will catch, that you can catch. But as I say, enemy are also advanced. They avoid that, they evade, and they millions of metamorphic malware they generate, and they evade the detection technique. So what we're doing, we are generating the metamorphic malware in the lab, and we are trying to defend that, to detect that, so that even new one comes, you are in your model so robust, or I can say adversarial robust malware detection system, that even that come, you are able to detect. So what we do, we take a benign and make it malware and see what's the probability, how much it is malware, how much it is that, and then you put in the database again, and then what you are developing. So this is how we are always going on. But what we say, see, human being and this your infrastructure of the computation, like human being, like the brain, it's a 2% mass of your whole body. And how much it works, think over it. And for doing that work, you need the huge infrastructure for so much computation, right? And now a cloud is there, so it's not required to have in your office or have you in your own institute. You can use the cloud computation. But nevertheless, that if you compare human brain and this computation power, human brain is 2% of your whole mass of your body, but still it is very fast and taking the knowledge. Basically, what I understood, human brains search very fast. It may be slow, response may be slow, but it's searching very fast. You remember whatever you did 10 years back of somewhat you've seen. But machine, if you do that in the machine, till that intelligence, you need a such algorithm that you can do that what you are searching, right? Prediction is there. And even this, if we see the speed, if you compare the speed, like our sensory organ, which we can always contact the sensory organ, it's 25 meters per second. But what's the speed of this computer? It is almost 10 to the power 8 scale. Very fast. So here that our computation power is growing, and it's growing very high speed. So that will come and make something that will come. So here that what we are doing in the lab, that we are attacking our model. And adding our adversarial attack, we are designing the model that should defend even the new unseen malware, which are not known. That is very important. And how to, if you know, like I said, we are planning for that we should have some app, because smart devices are very popular, and app should be installed in the mobile, and that will take care. But the problem was that education of the people, in this attack, education is very important. Like you may heard that somebody called that and taken the money from the bank account. These are happening. These are lack of education, lack of knowledge. It's not that system problem. Here, that is not that bank is not secure. It's all that playing of nowadays OTP. OTP is very important nowadays, but they play a trick. They say that I am your this, that, and they will take your OTP and they will take your money, and all these all things are going on, right? So even people develop the system proper, if knowledge is not given, even I develop an app and given to the people that this app will make safe your whatever attack and fire. But if he is not educated properly, how to use the app, what the purpose of that is no use. He will give all the permission, this, that, and later on he will say that it has been attacked, my money has gone, bank is responsible, all these words comes. Like I can give the example, the COVID era. People are negligent. They're not wearing mask. And now they are saying that, sorry for that I'm not getting the bed, not getting this and that. You are responsible. This is not my official word, but this is what I observe, right? So education, you have to first educate the people. Either it is a cyber attack, either it's a COVID or whatever, education is very important. Even I heard that this vaccination, lot of stupid things are floating. There is no scientific reason behind that. But still, people say that I will not take a vaccine these days. So forget about that. So here, when you are designing these things, then see, how much you fool your system, right? That much robust your system, adversarially robust. So we have did some analysis, and we have taken, this is for Android-based app, not for Windows. Windows also we have done, but I am not putting in the slide. Like 1 permission, 2 permission. See, there are 8 dangerous permission, if you know, in the mobile app. That which app permission should be given, which should not be given, that you have to be very careful. But that what the attacker plays, this permission. And here we see, if you take some 5 to 8 permission, we fool the model. That is adversarial approach, what I can say. Now I can fool the model. That, see how I fool. I first generate a malware with tweaking the program, and then I fool the model. Then I learn that, oh no, I have to do something. Like my daughter lost the game. She will learn something, what I am doing. Next time he will prepare. She will prepare. And ultimately they will fight and both will learn. But it will terminate. Where it will terminate, that is the who is more intelligent and who will do the ultimate thing. So here what I say that ultimately that agent that you will develop, future is that you will develop an agent, artificial intelligence agent, and that will take care of all the future artificial intelligence. So here that we see, even this is permission-based fooling rate, we are able to fool the detection system, which says that I have a 99% accuracy, and we fool them 50%. And then we trying to make a model which can detect that also. So here, next we have some, this is some technical slide that where we take an intent of the app and how to fool that the model that it will not detect it, and then it will be how to modify the model, and then all these things happening, right? So these are the work that we are doing, and here that you can see the some result. This is some, how can I say, Android permission user credential is responsible 21.6% vulnerability. Read call 20. These are some analysis result that we have did, and we have understood that these are the culprits that you have to take care. And even this intent, you can say that Android intent access send is the most culprit that it's sending. Simply reading the SMS. These are the things that you have to take adversarial attack defense, and you have to take care. Now, even now here is that I say adversarial, right? You are being a robust model which can detect your unseen malware. I can say it is new malware, nobody knows, right? Even suppose I have made a malware, I am very happy, and this I say, okay, it is adversarial robust, and that is good. But what happened in the medical system or in the military? Will apply this in the medical system? Medical system don't allow deep learning, machine learning, artificial intelligence in many cases. Why they don't allow? They don't allow because even one wrong decision, this is the cost of the life of a person. So they need some explanation, like these are black box. You are saying this is malware, this is benign, this is that. Why? Like doctor giving you some medicine, he says, why I am giving this medicine? Because of this test is coming like that. This is explanation. Like, can you put the artificial intelligence in the court of law? Today, that does not came, right? Because one innocent not be convicted, right? If you say I put all the rules and laws in the machine learning and deep learning and putting in place of judge, I put that model and say that pronounce the he is convicted or not convicted, how much punishment he has. No, today it is not implemented, and near future it is not easy. I'm not saying impossible, but not easy. So what you need now, even adversarial robust, you need the explanation that why you are saying this is malware. How user will trust you on your application model. Your user has to believe. It's like you doctor, when you go to some doctor, when he says, you believe him, right? I think few person may not believe that, but mostly they explain that I am giving this injection because of this. I am giving remdesivir because of you are very serious. I am giving only percentage because you have mild infection. That's a clear explanation. So now, even this label artificial intelligence comes, you need an explanation. Without that, you can't put everywhere. Like here something is written that you can read, that we are entering a new age of AI applications. Machine learning is the core technology. It's a technology. Adversarial learning is a technology. How to use that? Machine learning models are opaque, non-intuitive, and difficult for people to understand, right? See, even that you educate, how much you will educate? That's the other questions. So now deep learning, that XAI means explainable artificial intelligence. Sorry I have not written in full form. XAI means explainable artificial intelligence. You need explanation. Why it is coming so? Like transportation, security, medicine. The problem is in the medicine and military, legal. There you can't deploy that even one mistake is serious. You can't do a single mistake. So you need action, like judgment pronounce some judgment. They give explanation that why I am punishing him, why it is convicted. A line by line he will write, right? Does your artificial intelligence give that? Will it give that? So user says, why did you do that? First question. Why not something else? Why do you succeed? Why your classification 99.9%? Can you give the reason? When do you fail? Why do you fail? Why I can trust you? When can I trust you? How do I correct an error? So these all questions are still there, even whatever your adversarial artificial intelligence, artificial maturing or whatever, you have to answer that. Otherwise, you can't apply in military, neither legal, neither medicine. That is, now I'm working on this medicine also for the application, and with one of the PhD student, that basically in melanoma cancer, that to how to process the image. And if it's classified as a cancer, then you have to give the explanation that how doctor gives the explanation. Can your artificial intelligence give that? So that we are working, but it will take time to get on that. But nevertheless, we are on the way, right? Now, what's the concept of this? What you have to do for this explanation? So for explanation, that what I see, just see the slide, that training data, machine learning process that normally you do, learn function, then your decision recommendation that you do, but that has certain question, why I will trust you, why, how I correct, why you succeed, why you fail, this reason. So what you have to do, XAI, the explainable artificial intelligence, you training data, new machine learning process, you see, this is learning process, you can have new machine learning process, what are coming, and that you can use it. Explainable model, now you have to explain, your model should explain, and then it goes to that, and there will be explainable interface. Like you can see here, when I speaking, in the bottom it is coming that what I'm speaking, right? So intelligence has came at that level. So why not when you're giving pronouncing a decision, why you are not giving the explanation, and how, and give the explanation in such a way that users should trust. Like if just give the any punishment, people trust. I don't think anybody will don't honor the judgment, right? So here, can you come to that level? How? Yes or not? So that will say the time, but we are working on that explainability, that how to explain that your decision come from your model. And if it is perfect, now there also you have to see that how you explain. A lot of research is going on. We are also doing that, but hope that we will have some conclusion near future. So here that what I say, this is what we are doing. Data collection is that feature extraction, that normal things, explanatory data, that exploratory data that will do, machine learning model will modify the model as per requirement. Adversarial attack, we will see that how to make you robust to the adversarial. Then you will come to the explainability also. After that, we will add the explainability. Still, we are in very initial stage in the explainability, but we will do, and we will come with something like that. So here, what I can say, that my submission or last point that I want to say, that is AI dangerous? Is AI is for fun? See, in the future, this human being, this is what I understand, human being is that what you're developing artificial last intelligent things. After that, the developed artificial intelligence or agent, they will take over, and they will do their according to more better artificial intelligence techniques and things. So you have to decide, is AI is dangerous? Who uses this? Enemy or good people or bad people? Who is good, who is bad? That also has to understand. But anyway, AI is inevitable. So are the potential evil effects. Somebody can misuse it. It will grow faster than a human can develop intelligence. And in the future, that agent will act. You just make that agent how good it is agent. Now you have to think about how agent will work. That you have to define, and then you have to do it. Helping is creative thinking. It's obviously deep learning helps you encourage to learn solving problems. So that is what I will stop here, and that is my submission. You have to think about how to use the AI and how robust, how users should trust, why users should believe. Thank you. So if you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you so much, Sanjay sir. It was really a great and an intriguing session by you. And I hope that students are now eagerly waiting to ask some questions. So students, get ready. I'll be calling out your names one by one, and you'll be unmuting and asking the question to our expert speaker for today. All right. So first we have Danish. Danish?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. So my question is AI a boon or a threat to the cybersecurity?
See, as I say, my title was Adversarial, Artificial Intelligence, and Cybersecurity, the two parts. Cybersecurity has own place, and as I say, I don't work in artificial intelligence. I work on the application of the AI or machine learning, deep learning. These are the AI that what we're developing, or I can say deep learning technique, they are used for different purpose. Cyber security, one of the tool is used in the cyber security. AI or deep learning is used. Cyber security is a lot of windows that you have to take care. Like, as I say, something that authorization and authentication, like how your client server works and what's the key, how the key are sharing. Like in cyber security, the important is think that nowadays you have to deal or send that thing through the untrusted network. If I say untrusted network, that is internet. Everything is going from the internet, and that is an untrusted network. Nobody will trust, but you have to work on that, right? You have to send, you have to transaction your money, whatever. That is from the untrusted. How you will do that? That cybersecurity comes on that play. That how you do securely through the insecure channel. That is actual cybersecurity. These are the tool, AI and all these things are tool to get the knowledge quickly or to defend the things. You got the answer?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Danish, for asking the question. Next, Sanjay sir, we have Aditi. Aditi, please go ahead and ask your question.
Ma'am, good afternoon, sir. It was a very fruitful session for all of us, and I need to ask one question. That is, can you please summarize what are some main features that we should keep in mind to stay safe while we are using the cyber world, or while we are in the cyber world?
In the cyber world, like young people, you or people like me, first you should know what to do, what to not to do. Education is very important. Even people think they know, sometimes I feel that they don't know anything. Problem is that. So what to share, what to not to share. See, you have to communicate with the insecure channel. That is very important, but insecure channel. Even the calling, whatever it's insecure. Now you have to think how to do that. And when somebody lay down the method or way to deal it, you have to follow that. What I'm saying, that bank says you should do, you should not do, right? System has not a problem. Like system is not a problem there. What the security they have deployed, that is, it's very unlikely that anybody can break that AES encryption. You will never heard that AES encryption is broken. But what you heard, that money is taken out, right? How they trick it. So that is the part that you have to understand, that what to do, what to not to do. System nowadays are very robust. Only the tricking and the social engineering, what I can say, is playing the role to have an attack.
All right. Okay. Aditi, thank you so much. Next, we'll move to Suyesh. Suyesh from EC third year. Suyesh, please ask your question. Suyesh, can you hear me?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. So my question is, can we be prone to cybersecurity breaches while using IoT devices?
Yes.
And if yes, then what precautions or care should we take?
Okay, so see, now the problem is that IoT devices, first of all, it's a resource constraint. You understand resource of computation and battery that are used, like your mobile app is a battery that has certain time power that you can use certain processing speed. Now this IoT device, let's say I have to bifurcate that IoT device is basically hardware based or it's a software based. That's the two things. So if it is hardware based, now that's hardware based are not so robust always because they are constant. You have to think over it that when you deploy an IoT device, how long it is secure. Now I say how long it is secure. Now you understand this term, how long it is secure. In that time you have to do. Means that if I say AES is not broken till the date, right? But it's not that it will be not broken. It's if quantum computation comes, it will be broken, right? Particularly AES 128, AES 256 still it is safe, right? So in IoT device, what security you are deploying? Like when I discussing with some corporate, they are saying that I have given the RSA security. Now, okay, who on the opposite side, he may not know something. If he given the RSA, he does not declare what's the security level, how much it is secure. If it is secure for only 1 hour and using for 2 hours, that is not good. Like your OTP, somebody giving you 10 minutes, somebody 2 minutes, somebody 3 minutes, or 30 seconds. Somebody 6 digits, somebody 4 digits, somebody 8 digits, right? You see that. What's the reason of that? How much secure it is, how long it is secure, right? So like ATM pin is a 4 digit, right? But when you receive the OTP, sometimes the SBI, I see 6 or 8 digits are there. So if somebody say it is secure, you should understand how much it is secure. If you don't understand, then that is a problem. Like somebody sell you some security services, and he said it is secure. I have uses AES 128 and RSA something like that, 1024 bits is size, and it is secure. I may say not, it is not secure. It will be attacked. Depends on what's the computation power I have. Like then you have to think over on that, but that is require deep knowledge, not first level knowledge, but you need a deep level. But when you install something or you have, you should take some knowledge that what is that, how long it is secure, how much it is secure. If it is, because whatever today worlds you're living, it is computationally secure. I use that term. It is a computer. Nothing is unconditionally secure. Everything is breakable. The single line, everything is breakable. But what's the level of breaking that? How much computational resource power you want? That you should know. If you don't know, then there's a problem. If somebody given you something and it is broken in, like somebody says, I have used a data encryption standard that can be broken in a few minutes nowadays. So that is not secure. So there is you should have all this knowledge. Anything more you want to ask? You got the answer?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Suesh. Next, we'll head to Devashish. Devashish from CS second year. Devashish, please ask your question.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. So, firstly, good afternoon. And I would like to tell that this was a really beneficial session for us. And the question that is arising in my mind, I really want to ask that how an attacker is able to just find out the vulnerabilities in any system.
Okay, so vulnerabilities, there's are many ways that, like when you release any software, like, so there are some, either they put intentionally trapdoor, like app is released, it's a free app, you are very, very happy to download and use it, but there will be a trapdoor. Intentionally. Second is that, like the developer may not know, like just now I'm saying that how much it is secure. Developer itself don't know that this is the loophole and this is the something weakness, and that is known by the that attacker. See, it's intelligence. If attacker is more knowledgeable, and nowadays attacker are sufficiently knowledgeable, he will find that weakness or the weak point of that app or that software before that they release the update. You receive the update, right? That after that this software is vulnerable, you should update. But if that period before that attacker know, what will happen? It is attacked, right? That's what I say, 54 days or 180 days. That is a huge time. Even 1 day is a lot time. If enemy knows, he will use that. Like if you know some security concept, like certificate is very important. Without certificate, you can't deal with nowadays whatever you're doing in the security world, cyber security world. But if that certificate is compromised, what will happen? So if certificate compromise, like you that VeriSign or whatever their service provider of the certificate, there is always a time gap that update, and that is used to come in and to break the things. So how to handle such things, there's a trade-off of all these things, but there is a way to come out. But even the software that release, they themselves don't know this is the weak point where attacker comes. An attacker know before that. They release the patch or update, before that they know and they attack you. You got the point?
Yes,
Okay.
I surely did. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Devashish. Next, we'll move to Rajendra. Rajendra from CS first year AI1. Rajendra, please ask your question. Rajendra, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, we'll move to the next candidate.
Nandini, can
yes,
you
sir?
allow me to ask a question, if you allow me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Sanjay
Please,
ji, Sanjay ji, what advancements can we see maybe 5 years down the line in the field of adversarial artificial intelligence and cybersecurity? I mean, something that's happening that you would like to share with us.
Yeah. Say next 3-4 years, but now the people start working on the adversarial. A lot of points they have raised, and they come up with a conclusion that it is there. So, but this, see, when two people fight, right? And both are equally talented. Who will win? It's very hard to say. It's a rat race, that's what I'm saying, right? But even that what the Karka principle says, where we believe that only the security is something one point and that's it is secret. Here also, if you come to that point, and hopefully what I understand, we will come. And then you may defend. But don't know that enemy may come with some other technique, because these are evolving from last 20-30 years. But yes, if explainability, all this comes, then hopefully we will defend. But what I say when that student asks that cyber attack, that the period, that update, these are the weak point. How to patch that, how to cover that, that is still questions. And that you have to take. Adversarial will work, and after that, like machine learning, deep learning, now you have that. Now you know very much that, right? That everybody using and things. Now adversarial is that you are making the model more robust, and that will also saturate. That will also saturate. That will also saturate. And but winning the game, that is a questionable. Maybe in 5 years we may get some answer.
Thank you very much, sir, for answering my question. And thank you, Nandini, for allowing me to ask that question.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so we'll move on to the next student, that is Mohammed Alim. Mohammed Alim, you can ask your question.
Thanks for the opportunity, ma'am, and a very pleasant and good afternoon to you, sir. My question is that how can AI be used in both creation and defense from phishing attacks?
See, phishing attack is something different. Okay, that requires the education, basically. Phishing attack is that basically it comes in the email or something like that. But if you're educated much, you may not click. You may not. After that, technical comes. That how then our job comes then. If even people click that, then how to defend that, right? So that we are thinking about that, and we are developing that. We will have a application in your system that it will warn you that it is something wrong, you should not go. But first is the education there, that what should do, what should not do. After that, technical things comes, and we are looking on that phishing attack also. But the education is prime thing, that you should understand it is phishing attack. But people not understand, and they click and they go through it. But after the technical comes, even people go through it, how to handle it. So that's what I say, that does artificial intelligence come to that level? Like I compare with the human being coming to your home. Like when you click, it comes to your system and you can execute. So can your system understand? That system should stop that execution. That is technical. And that we are looking after. And that, I don't know when it will come, but we are looking after that.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Alim. Next is we have Riya Dhawan, who will be asking you questions, sir. Riya?
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Sanjay ji, I think you have another 10 more minutes to spare with us because the students are very anxious to ask the questions.
Okay, that's fine. I am here.
Thank you. Riya, please continue.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, my question is, can attackers hide from AI detection also?
Yes, that's what today is happening. They are evading the AI, and then only they are attacking. And that's why adversary comes in the picture, that how to do that. They want to evade your technique. They know their model, right? See, you know the artificial neural network. They also know that, right? You have same data that you are building model. They also know that. So now if both people know that, so he will try to avoid that, and that they are doing. And to defend that, we are preparing our model, adversarial model that we have to defend that what his knowledge it is. So it's a rat race, try to understand. It's a rat race.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Ria. Sanjay sir, next candidate is Deepika, who will be asking you the question. Deepika, please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, my question is, what is the key difference between machine learning and deep learning?
Okay, machine learning, see, deep learning is the subset of machine learning, first of all. Machine learning is that like you give a data, pass the data, and algorithm is there, it's learned, and it says the decision, right? And deep learning is subset because it goes by layer, 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer, and you tweak that to make your model much robust. It requires more computation power than the machine learning. That is the demarcation that I can say right now. That's the main thing. You got layer, when I say layer by layer,
thank you so much.
There is a neuron in every layer, and that it's learned. You tweak the weight of the neuron in every layer, and then you see that what's the result. You can change the parameter in that. You can tweak the parameter so that you get the best result. That is what deep learning. In machine learning, you have algorithm, pass data. It's not like decision tree or something like that. That is machine learning category, or classical machine learning, I can say. That take the data, take the algorithm, learn it, and give the result. You take the test data and give the output. For deep learning, you can tweak the weights and all the things in the layer wise, and how many layer you can go and you can get a result, you can do that. That's why it's called deep.
Thank you for that answer, sir. And thank you, Deepika, for asking the question. And sir, the last question for today will be asked by Garima Sharma from EC 4th year. Garima, please ask your question. Garima, are you there?
Nandini, Ayush has in the meantime shared with me that he also wants to ask a question. So probably you can give time to Ayush.
Okay, Ayush.
Is Ayush there? His, I think the expert speaker has answered this question, which he has shared with me personally. But then too, I'll ask this question because he has shared with me to ask this question, though he's not there. That I think the expert speaker has answered that can malware attacks be made more dangerous using AI? I think Professor Sanjay has answered.
Yes. That's what they are doing. And we are trying to defend. So I say again, it's a rat race. Try to understand the word rat race.
And sir, I mean, what is better, supervised learning in AI or unsupervised learning in AI?
See, depends. It basically depends on what purpose you are. First of all, see, supervised learning, basically that classical learning, machine learning must be used. In unsupervised, deep learning are preferred because they have a neuron, they understand their own. So you can have a give data, and in the classical machine learning that you can have some features, and you can, even in deep learning, you can give the features. So there you have. So if you know very robust, like SMS, send intent, these are features that are very critical. Okay, so that you can use. Even you can have a hybrid model. Right? When you analyze these permissions, then we see that send, SMS, these are some critical permission or intent that are misused for the app developer. And so you can use that. So what is, there's a many intent, we are reduced to 16 kind of thing, which we understood that this is the main that will give the best result. So that paper is there, it's published somewhere, and that you can have.
Thank you, Professor Sanjay. Before I hand over the e-podium to Nandini ma'am, just would like to share with Professor Sanjay, although maybe a bit different from the topic, that one of the alumnus of Allen House Institute of Technology has last year, in fact, co-developed the Chingari app, which was very much in the news. So one of the co-developers, we can proudly say, has been an alumnus, is an alumnus of Allen House Institute of Technology. I just thought to share this thing with you, just to spread our happiness around.
What Chingari app do? Can I know?
Chingari app is the Indian replacement of TikTok.
Okay, okay. Now I remember.
So one of the co-developers of that app is Siddharth, if I recall the name well, and an alumnus of Allen House Institute of Technology. Just wanted to share this piece of happiness with you amidst all the negativity that we see today.
Yeah, this negativity should go.
So Janandri, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, this brings us to the end of the question and answer session. And I believe this extremely enriching session was highly beneficial for all our participants. And now I request our campus director, Dr. Bhagwan Jagwani, to deliver his closing remarks before we proceed with the vote of thanks. So over to you, sir.
First of all, I mean, what do I say? I mean, I have heard so many technology experts, but the simplicity with which Professor Sanjay K. Sahai has put forward his points, and the graphical presentation with all those pictures, I mean, all things perfect. So for people like us, it was a very, very enriching session. So thank you very much, Professor Sahai. Before the formal vote of thanks is proposed by my worthy colleague, let me take this liberty to thank you. So now today, the internet has become an important part of our lives. Almost everything we do requires internet. Now let's face it, everything from instant messaging, banking, emailing, shopping, and even traveling. I mean, none of these things can be done without the internet. So moreover, with the growing need of the internet, protecting our information and data have also become a necessity. Now, whether we own a company, a business, or we are simply a habitual user of the internet, we should be aware of how to minimize threats, risks, and cybercrime, as well as be cautious, proactive, and stay informed of cyber criminals. This session delivered by Dr. Sahai will go a long way in empowering our knowledge and making us aware of the cyber threats and helping us to at least save ourselves. So thank you very much, Professor Sahai, once again. Nandini, over to you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Let me now request respected Director of Allen House Colleges, Dr. Ruby Chawla, ma'am, to propose the vote of thanks. Ma'am.
So as we come to the end of this webinar, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Sanjay K. Sahai, for his valuable inputs. I'm sure that we all shall be keeping in consideration the prominent implications discussed by Sir today. Special thanks to Honorable Joint Secretary, Superhouse Education Foundation, Sri Javed Hashmi, and Campus Director of Allen House Colleges, Dr. Bhagwan Jagwani, for their valuable support throughout to make this Tech Talk super productive. I also thank my colleagues from the IT department for their support. At the end, I wish to convey my gratitude to my faculty colleagues and students for their precious time and participation. On behalf of Allen House Institute of Technology, I thank all of you once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.